So I'm going to break down this entire system and funnel that took my client Mike from $5,000 to $78,000 a month in the last 90 days with this info product without spending a single dollar on ads. And mind you, he's running a 7-figure business already. So this is just an additional $78,000 a month in recurring revenue here. And I'm just going to be straight with you and not hide behind some internet marketing bullshit and try to tell you that this is a free training video. No, I'm going to show you the entire system so that way you can just do this yourself, or you can just choose to pay me to do it, because this is a system that I've done fully done for you. I'm not a coach. I'm not offering to teach you how to do this. I implement this directly into your business. And so you can choose what you want to do after watching this, but I'm not going to hold back or hide anything from you, because if we're going to have a relationship and we're going to work together, it has to be built on trust. So I'm just going to show you how it works directly. So let's just get straight into it here. So first things first is we're going to go through the offer, the content, the lead capture and sales system, and then the results. We're just going to start the results real quick because we know that's why you're here. This is the $78,000 MRR. It's actually $80,000, but minus Stripe fees and everything. And so this is what we hit during this month of June. There's $25,000 plus still in the pipeline right now. You can see some of the payments from over the last month or two. And by the way, this is MRR, meaning these are recurring payments. These are 90-day system build-outs. So this is not just a one-time payment. He's going to be getting $78,000 a month for the next 3 months minimum, assuming there's no back-end offers, assuming there's no more new clients. So I just wanted to show you that. As well, you can see here, this is some of our posts, like this post here. One of our reels got 25 leads from it. This one got like 12 or 13. This one generated like $30,000 in sales. This one generated like $100,000 in sales. We've had some pretty insane results. And the reality of it was he hired me just to build him a personal brand, and he wasn't taking monetization seriously until the last 3 months. And that's the reason why we've seen this insane growth. And so let's talk about how we got here, right? Because there was a lot of adjustments that have been made over the last 4 months of us working together that allowed this all to happen. So first things first is ideal client breakdown. We got really clear about who he's actually trying to serve. And let me quickly mention what he actually does, because this is a very obscure niche. He actually resells diabetic products. Weird business that I've literally never heard of. And so he is one of the experts in his space. That's like the key thing here is that he's one of the best in his industry, and a lot of people respect him because he is truly one of the best. He's not just trying to be an internet marketer or a guru or anything like that. He already has amazing success in his business. And so he has a multi-7-figure business that was already running before we started this info product. Now, he had done a little bit of coaching and course selling and stuff like that in the past, but this is kind of what happened. The audience he was targeting was beginners, people who had never heard of this, or they were new to the space, or like intermediate people who were making like $2,000 to $5,000 a month. And so what we did, we got really clear on our ideal client and basically decided to go after established business owners in his niche, specifically in his niche, nowhere outside of that. So at first it started out with these $15,000 to like $50,000 a month guys. And so we got really clear on them, created our pain points around them and all the messaging that goes towards that. And then over time, we actually started getting reached out to by guys who are making $75,000 to $250K a month profit who also wanted his help. And so we created an offer that was catered towards these guys here, which obviously made a huge difference. So let's break down some of the adjustment of the offer. So the first thing was he was selling a $397 video course, right, beforehand, just for beginners. And he was also selling coaching calls. Well, we decided instead to convert this to a done for you and done with you infrastructure build out. So this is not just like coaching we're selling here. He is actually selling services. Yes, done for you. We're hiring VAs. We're building CRMs, setting up systems, transferring contacts. Like there's a lot of done for you aspects of this build out. And the reason why we call it an infrastructure build out is we're actually setting up all these systems for them. So that way they have something at the end of the 90 days and not just more information or access to him. And that was able to allow us to go from him charging $397 or $1,000 per like coaching call to $15,000 up to $100,000 per sale. And the issue we ran into with the $1,000 coaching calls that he was doing beforehand was obviously he's extremely limited on his time, one-on-one calls. People don't continue doing it. People don't take action because it's just coaching calls. And that's why we built this offer here. And so what did this turn into? Well, let's talk about total revenue, right? So this has generated him $246,000. Majority of this has been in the last 90 days. And I just want to show you some equivalents here. He would have to sell 619 courses at $397 in order to make $246,000. 246 of these coaching sessions, he's got to $246,000 with 7 clients. 7. So I just want to put that out there. So extremely high ticket, and obviously providing way more value to these guys. These guys are getting so much more value than these guys would. And so that's what we've been able to do by adjusting the offer, who it's for, how we change our messaging, and then how we actually change the offer and how we structured it to best fit those people. So next, let's talk about the content, right? Because I was originally hired for building a personal brand, but this is the content that we're doing to generate traffic and to convert traffic, right? Very simple, long form educational content. Pretty straightforward. We're making long form YouTube videos to provide as much value to his audience as possible. Here's a in-person meeting we did where we were creating our structures for our videos. And so I'm using my knowledge on creating videos and plugging his expertise into structures so that way we can then record these videos together. And typically I'm just coaching him through different parts, how to re-say things, how to make things more concise to make sure that these videos come out in a way where they're digestible. And so we've done work both in person and remotely, but that is our long form educational videos. Obviously the most powerful nurturing tool you could possibly have. Hence like why you're watching this video, it's the same kind of thing. Story sequences is next. Now we actually haven't done a lot of these because, to be honest, we've just ran out of capacity, and story sequences is a great way to make money and get sales, but these are so powerful, and the ones that have done really well, we've even turned into carousels. So I'm just going to pull this up just so you can see a physical example of what I'm talking about here. And so this is what I would call a curiosity driven hook. So first, we kind of describe how his life looked before he worked with Mike. So in this case, he was spending all his time driving. This is really common with people who are in this $15,000 to $30,000 range. His income had a ceiling because he only had so much time that he could spend, and basically he's just trapped in this cycle. And so he explained within 30 days, we're able to hire a driver to get all his time back, right? So now he can spend more time on building systems, doing things outside of this, working on the business instead of in it. Again, thinking about big picture stuff, or just getting back time with his family, because not everyone wants to make more money. Some people just want more time. Now he can do both. Getting to 10 to 30K a month is all about hustle and grind, but after that, it's about leverage. We explain new ways of thinking, insights, like changing the way they think, changing their perspectives. And so from here, we do a call out. If you are X, you're dealing with this, you're dealing with this, and you're ready to do this. And then boom, we make a call to action. This is just a direct call to action. This is not a lead magnet. This is a straight call to action. And he did close 2 new clients from this. So I believe he generated over $30,000. This was a story sequence, by the way. We just turned it into a carousel as well. And so basically I create these for him and just give them to him to post. And so that's just an example of the story sequences. Let's move on to the next style, which is lifestyle content. So this is just getting his personality onto social media, helping to attract people who like his lifestyle, pushing other people who don't. This is more of the personal branding side of things. And so I'll just show you some examples. This is some of the stuff we shot together in person in Santa Marta in Colombia. And so this is just an example of the video.
One of the first things you can do as an entrepreneur, especially if you have an online business, is you need to just leave the country for a year. Leave the country for a year.
And so these videos aren't always super serious. It's just sharing the way he thinks, sharing his lifestyle. Like it's, pretty straightforward, but that's just one of the types of reels that we do. Next is education and insights. And this is an example of some remote sessions we've done. So not everything we do is in person, but some of it is. And so this is just an example of like educational, insight kind of short form videos.
With bandit signs, you have to find the location, the streets where 1, there's a lot of people, and then 2, the city doesn't go and take down those signs really, really fast. Recently, I came back from Colombia to Tampa, and I started doing local marketing again.
Okay, I skipped through that fairly quick, but just to get you the overall concept, it's educational, it's insights, it's changing the way that people think, and again, showing his authority in the space, like he knows what he's talking about. And so something that's really key here that I didn't write down is we're making extremely niche content. Like bandit signs, you probably know what bandit signs even means. We're just making extremely niche educational content that only people who would want to buy from him actually would care to consume. So no, these videos aren't getting a lot of views. It's not made to get views. It's made for nurturing and conversion, right? And then lastly, which is probably the most powerful by far, is lead magnets or direct call to actions. When we're talking about just pure conversion, It's lead magnets and calls to action. And the most important thing here is you can't do lead magnets and call to actions if you're not providing value and doing all the other things, right? So all these things work together. They don't work independently. And I actually recorded a behind the scenes of us making this lead magnet call to action. So I'll show you that real quick here. So this is an example of us recording a lead magnet call to action video together in person. And I'm just coaching him through on this. We didn't write down a script beforehand and plan this. It was just kind of off the cuff, but I'll just show you a very quick snippet of kind of what this looks like.
You could say the reason why most wholesalers get stuck at 15 to 30K a month is because, yeah, let's go there.
The reason why most wholesalers get stuck at 15 to 30K a month.
So here's your structure. Pain, solution to the pain, summarize pain, and then credibility and call to action.
Credibility and call to action is because they try to do everything themselves. They try to do the sales, they try to do the lead generation, and they try to do the customer service.
And so what that turned into is this.
If you're a diabetic resale wholesaler, you're leaving a bunch of money on the table. The reason why wholesalers get stuck from 15 to 30K a month is because they try and do everything themselves. They try and do the lead generation, customer service, and they try and do all the admin work. And if virtual assistant can actually do all that, they can handle all the day-to-day stuff, so you can start working on the business instead of in the business. I've hired over 100 virtual assistants in the last 7 years, and I've made a full hiring guide for you. Comment guide and I'll send it to you.
So this exact lead magnet video is able to generate over 25 leads from his own audience, again, without ads or anything. So that was extremely powerful. So this should just give you some examples of the types of content that we are doing to generate new attention and to convert attention, right? So next, let's talk about the actual lead capture and sales process. Like, what are we doing with these leads? Well, breaking down the content system from a little bit of a higher level is we have our long form and our short form for lead nurture. So whether it's a new lead or someone who's been in the audience for a while, they're getting nurtured through all this content because we're consistently putting it out every single week. And then we have our different types of calls to action, which I mentioned already, which is lead magnets and direct offers. There's a couple different ways that we actually make these calls to action. Story sequences, as I showed you before. And so in short forms, we make more calls to action in the actual caption rather than in the video. We find that it works really well, and it's also not as salesy to be asking for direct offers or anything like that. Making direct calls to action to a lead magnet, we find is just a little bit better. And then for long form, we always have like a calendar link in the description in the YouTube videos as well. And so all of these things lead to, of course, a booked call. And now I'm not going to go crazy in depth on the sales process, but I am going to explain something that's kind of important here, which is the custom offer part of what we're doing here. And so I did teach Mike my entire sales process, like a high ticket sales process, because it was new for him in this world. And so I'm not going to break down that whole thing here. If you want to see that, just let me know. But basically, the main thing is in our discovery sessions, we make sure to get very clear on their current situation, their goal situation, and then create a custom offer to bridge that gap. So the reason why we had a variable price point is because we did value-based pricing. It depended on how much that business owner was actually going to make by adding this system in, but also based on what they needed. But the cool part is the overall system and what we're doing is actually pretty much the same across the board. Some things just happened at different times, but the overall roadmap in terms of where they would end up at the end of the 90 days ended up to be about the same, irregardless of whether they were making 15 grand or 100 grand. But of course, there were extra components for those higher end guys, like connections with pharmacies and things that the lower end guys just straight up wouldn't need. But overall, we were able to create an offer that was custom based on their needs and where they're trying to go. And so that's basically the sales process. And you've already seen the results here. I mean, this generated almost $250,000 and $78,000 a month in recurring revenue for him outside of his pre-existing business. Okay. And so that's the entire system here. So if you're an entrepreneur who wants to finally share your story, you want to build a personal brand, you want to get connections, and you want to finally get recognition and credit for all the hard work you've been putting in for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years, and create a personal brand that you can actually monetize, then book a call with me. I'll have a link in the description. If you have any questions of any of this, just let me know in the comments. I appreciate you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.